Thank you for having me.
The newspaper preview segment this morning. This is where we call it off on this segment. We are moving on now to the behavioral check segment where Dr. Komolafe James is waiting to give us tips on how to do the checkup from the neck up. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
How? Welcome to your daily tonic. My name is Dr. James Komolafe, the Chief Consultant at Saba Resources Intervention Hub. I'm a trained behavioral therapist from Florida and Hawaii, and I have practiced behavioral therapy for quite some time now, helping people across clients, online, offline, on-site, to package and manage without the damage so that one can live young, long, and strong at the same time. Last time on this package, I gave a hint on why sudden collapses happen across boundaries and frontiers, not sparing anyone, the ignorant, the knowledgeable, the strong, and the mighty, the weak, and the ignorant. So today, we want to continue on some of the interventions available for sudden collapses and sudden slump, whichever way. And I'd like you to know that slump does not begin as an emergency. It starts as a little crisis here and there based on personal lifestyle violation. What do I mean by that? When you begin to shift from your normal protocol, your daily routine, which has become part and parcel of your individual self, and you're beginning to do something else, you veer off from your originality into some certain violation, and you are becoming violent on yourself. In fact, violence on others don't happen until you violate your own personal lifestyle and principle. And so slump could trail that way, where you begin to walk in personal violation. You are not keeping to your original lifestyle. You are now in counterfeit mode, deficit mode. And some of this idea of, okay, I will do it later, I will rest later, I will eat later. You postpone what you are not supposed to postpone just because of some certain reasons, can lead to slump. So slump begins with a mere incidence by violation, and then begins to accumulate by accommodation. What you permit begins to build up over time. When it is by deliberate creation, when you cause slump yourself. I know some other cases like sudden infirmity, attack, accident can also cause it, but most of the time people violate their personal procedures and they come down eventually in their mental health, physical health, or even behavioral health. So what are we saying? On very many occasions, people adduce things to the devil. They say, oh, it's the devil that caused it and all of that. Well, if you don't open your door in the first instance, possibly the devil will not be able to come through it. So how you live becomes very imperative, very critical. So responsibility towards self in most cases are in deficit. When you see an individual going through sudden collapses, maybe he's not responsible enough to himself or herself. So the time to package and manage without the damages are just here. So what do? Please know that it first begins as a procedure. And before you know it, the crisis strikes. A procedure within that degenerates into crisis without. And when we see the crisis, we say, oh, he just collapsed now. Possibly there are things he didn't check. You know, when we drive our cars and you see red light on your dashboard, what do? All things being equal, you park in order to check why this red light on my dashboard. Is there a missing link somewhere? Is there something indicative? The oil, the battery, or whichever. And then you fix it before you continue to go. But you know, most human beings don't behave. On very many occasions, many people don't behave that way. You'll notice a red alert on your emotional board. And you say, well, it will go. I'll walk over it. Pain in one side, in your internal organ, chest pain and all of that. Even after prayers, after 3-4 months, you still keep enduring. That's a behavioral folly, of course, which could lead to anything. And there's no error in finding out, no crime in finding out about your health data, your lifestyle data, so that you can take it to the next level. Because ignorance is never an excuse in behavioral health. Sir, ma, can I ask you a question? When last did you run a behavioral check? Or you say, I do medical check. Oh, that's great and fine. How about your emotion? How about the values of your imagination and contemplation? How about your feelings and your attitude? Because they also determine how well that you live and how young that you live. So, before it spills out, it happens within first. So please check it very well. And so what do we do? In Cyber Resources Intervention Hub, we've created an intervention policy for organizations, institutions, families alike to run collapse check. Don't say, well, we don't have such issues here. Where we see sudden collapses, it's not that they prepare for it. But suddenly it happens. Before you know it, you hear after a brief illness. How brief? Oh, he was here on Monday. On Thursday, we are at his interment. That will not be your portion by the grace of God. But you need to do the needful. Run the checks, reality checks. We could also host it for you by Zoom meeting intervention in your organization, in your families, anywhere around the world, so that you can work in prevention. We've seen people on the field of play and they suddenly collapse. We've seen people who even don't wake up from their sleep. We've seen people praying, and from prayer they collapse, and that's the end. We've seen people preaching, and from preaching they collapse, and that's the end. So what are we saying? Please run it. So what's the mode of intervention? 30 minutes to shoot a slide for you in PowerPoint, and then we'll be able to carry out what we call spot analysis and status evaluation for 20 minutes. And then another 20 minutes, we'll do interpretation of the analysis and application. It is then we can do integration. You now know your status. You now know how far and how close you are to one, so that you can do the needful. Opportunity also abounds for a train the trainers program on this. to walk away from hypertension by frivolous living, of course, to walk away from addiction, to walk away from suicide ideation, where somebody begins to talk Ori, saying, I wish I'm not alive. Why am I even alive? Where people begins to feel helpless, hopeless, and worthless. We have such intervention in cyber resources to help people. So please speak up and out. Now, what are the 7 things you stand to enjoy through some of this psychosocial intervention? You know, we have warned. Don't wait until the chips are down. Don't say, I reject it. It's not my portion. People that found themselves suddenly into such episode never plan for it. They possibly may have said such things before. But you know what? When you don't do the needful, even while you are praying, you are like the one who is tempting God. So why not find out and know what is best and what is the right thing to do so that you can arm yourself. So when you know, you are armed. To foreknow is to forearm. So we can avoid another sudden collapse anywhere, in the families, in the organizations, at home, in the workplace, and wherever you find yourself. Religious places not excluded. We can avert it. So when you apply for this, we'll run it with you either in your organization or through an online program and packaging. These are the 7 things you stand to enjoy when you run one. One, you'll be able to tame every form of behavioral violation. Now, what are behavioral violations? Habits, attitudes, certain addictive behavior you find yourself that takes you off course, your original life. They are behaviorally toxic for you. They are like poison to your personal protocol. So when we run this intervention appeal with you, it will show you where you are veering off so that we can bring you back through one of our procedures called a CBT. Not computer-based test now, but cognitive behavioral therapy. And will walk you out of that violent lifestyle into your original life. And then number 2, this intervention will help you to track emotional excesses. Where have you gone overboard as far as your mental and spiritual health and wholeness is concerned? Because your emotional reality is such that blends the recesses of your heart with that of your mind as an intervention. So very vital. This intervention will help you to see it. And then you'll be able to trunk mental abuse. And to know that, no, I'm doing this wrong, I'm doing this right, and track it. Number 4, you'll be able to trash deviant behavior. Between your original life and the violent life is a gap. And such gaps are often filled with violent, deviant behaviors. And that's why you see, when a man violates himself, he begins to do things that are not part and parcel of his original life. He begins to tell lies. He becomes a serial liar. He begins to get weighed down by the content of that error that he has imbibed. And before too long, anything can happen. So when you run this intervention, you walk away from it without the drugs. And you bounce back to your original person. And then it will help you to triumph in your lifestyle through a simple do-it-yourself assessment. I run psychometric assessment tests, and we have created homegrown but globally compliant psychometric assessment test, as much as 200 of it, to handle various cases of definition when you are in your good order. And then we have some that handles various cases of violation when you shift away from your normal order. And in the same way, we've created some that handle various cases of deviation where you are completely off the track to your original life. So, when you take this intervention, it has a way of helping you to bounce back to your original default setting, and you get going through behavior modification strategy that we also run. And then number 6, it will help you to translate your stress factor into an incentive for enlargement. Wow, I like that. When you can convert your stresses to incentive that will cause you to further stretch out and to gain more ground. So when you run this intervention, you will be able to navigate from stress into further stretches and live longer, younger, and stronger at the same time. And last but not the least, you will be able to translate from personal loopholes to profitable lifestyle and productivity, which is the whole essence of life. So what are you waiting for? You need an intervention. Don't wait until the chips are down. Do you notice any anomaly in your mental health, in your emotional disposition, in your physical health, and in your spiritual health? They are all behavioral issues. When you can handle things from behavior, which is 70% your total lifestyle, then the rest 30 can be easily handled. Please make hay while the sun shines. Don't wait until the chips are down. Put a call through now to Dr. Long Life. Meet me on my social handle. Subscribe free to my YouTube channel, James Komolafe, and watch hundreds and hundreds of my YouTube videos and get back your life. Lifestyle protocol is critical to 21st century wellness and productive living. Take this opportunity, put a call through now, run some of this intervention, and let's walk away people, loved ones, families, colleagues, and friends from sudden collapses, from sudden hypertension, addiction, suicide ideation, and so many things beclouding our space at such a time like this. Don't just say the economy is hard and things are biting hard as an excuse for violation. You can be your best self in your best approach. If you know what to do and you have the information, put a call through now and get all of the supports you can get at this time, and you'll be glad you did. It's time to package and manage without the damage. Join us as we run behavioral checks, a checkup from the neck up. When you are good neck up, you will be good neck down most time. Where how you say it, how you think it, how you feel it, how you sense it, how you say it becomes implicit in how you do it. Thank you so very much. See you next time. and bye.